Now, not yet 3 years into their marriage, Spencer Matthews is already talking about divorcing wife Vogue Williams, or not, as the case may be, because he says, if Vogue cheated, I'd probably forgive her and take her back. I can't be bothered with the whole divorce thing. We've got kids. I put it to the back of my mind, and I think, that's life, isn't it? Now, bear with me, girls. I can see where he's coming from. I mean, Frankie, I'm so much further down the road than you. Dismantling my life would take so much effort. Do you think that sounds like I've just given up, me and Spencer?
Slightly. Slightly sounds like you've given up. But I know what you're saying. I suppose it's you know, you've built a whole life together now, and I just think, you know, in relationships, it takes two, and everyone's relationship is different, and we can't judge the people that choose to take back or the people that choose to break up. Some people can get over those things and some can't. I like to think once, yes, maybe you could work it out. Past that, don't know.
Jane?
Well, it's funny, you and I will have talked about this a lot on this show, and in the very early days, like 21 years ago, we both would have said, no, absolutely not, one strike and you're out. And now we're a bit like, oh, yeah, you know, unpicking all that life. Who cares? Well, not who cares, but, you know. Do you know what I mean? I think we've mellowed slightly, but I'm with you. If it was more than once, then... And it depends on the circumstances.
But then that's arbitrary too, isn't it? I mean, if you say, well, one is OK, but not two...
Well, because I think then that shows a pattern of behaviour that maybe might be telling you that your relationship needs to be looked at rather closely.
What do you think, Paris?
I think that the way he said it, I thought it was kind of sad. It was like, he doesn't really care. But I'm not saying he doesn't, but everybody's relationship's different. I think if it was put on your toes and you had that circumstances, you've got to try and hope and think your marriage is strong and you'll get through it. But you've also got to think, does the person really love you if they want to run away and cheat on you? And also, are you really just going to say, doesn't matter? Too much hard work to be put into doing something else. So I think it's a bit sad. I wouldn't like to think that way. I wouldn't like to think on them sort of grounds. If you had, there's no definite answer what you would or wouldn't do, but I think it's nice to have some morals, have some standards to think what's right and wrong.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, let's hope that Spencer was slightly tongue-in-cheek when he made that.
I don't think he was giving her a free pass.
Yeah, I don't think so. But I tell you what, sticking with relationships, nearly 2 years after meeting on Love Island, Tommy Fury and Molly-Mae Hague are still very much in the love bubble. And it appears they have their own secret love language. Molly-Mae posted this on Instagram. Can you see that there? I'm not even going to try to attempt to read that out. I mean, Paris, can you help us with this? Can you give us a translation?
I'm sure it means deeply I love you. I'm not sure what their language is, but I can totally relate to this. Me and Tyson, when we was younger, I refer to saying it as kids, but I suppose we wasn't kids. We was 17, 18. And we actually done something very similar. We had a language that we used to speak. I think it's actually known in like colleges and things. It's called gibberish. And we used to speak it to each other. But I think it's that puppy love stage where you're just, everything's amusing and everything's great and everything's wonderful and rosy. And we used to do that. We'd have this weird thing. People would stare and be like, I will, I want, deal boo. And it wouldn't mean anything to no one else, but it did to us. But it is a bit crazy. But I do think it's just that young love and everybody gets washed up in it at the beginning.
Yeah. Is it just something in the Fury family, Frankie? Or
no, you know what? I mean, Wayne and I didn't have our own language, but for a long time when we were first together, we were at that stage where, like, one of you was going to say, I love you first. And Wayne... I knew Wayne wanted to say it, but he couldn't quite bring himself to say it yet. So he used to say, I hate you, but in, like, a nice way. It wasn't aggressive. He'd be like, we'd be in, like, a loving moment, and he'd be like, oh, I hate you. Yeah. And, like, I knew what he meant. I knew he meant that he loved me. And he would say that for a really long time until he actually said the words, I love you. And actually, for our wedding anniversary, for when it was wood, we stick by the traditional thing, like presents for our wedding anniversary. He got a heart carved and it says I hate you on it. And you know, if that's not love, I don't know what else is, guys.
That's
keeping the romance alive.
Oh, that is so romantic. Though, having said that, it's not something to put up on the mantelpiece when the mother-in-law comes round.
No,
really,
it is on the mantelpiece, though, funnily enough. People probably come round and they're like, oh, that's weird. But we get it.
Yeah. Jane and I aren't even going to enter this conversation because it's probably going to run along the lines of put the bin spins out, no, sadly. So we'll just leave the love bubble,
Talk
won't
of
we?
love.